Now, Gordon Brown, he has recently said that he is going to continue his fight for us to rejoin the EU. He stressed that it's his personal view, and he accepts that it's unlikely in the short term. Now, that's been added, you can see, to the bit of computer, so I suspect that there's a legal reason why that's been put there. But whether it is or it's not, the former Prime Minister was a Remainer supporter, and it seems like he is going to invest a good deal of his political capital trying to persuade us to get back into the into Eurovision, but we've been in there for a while, so let's try that again, back into the EU. Do you think that's wise? Do you think that's how he should spend his time? Do you think we should reverse Brexit? Now, I'm a betting man, and I bet that there's nobody out there that's going to phone in and say that we should, but I may be wrong. You know, sometimes I am wrong. If I'm wrong, call me, and I'd like to hear from you. But before I do, let's speak to somebody who knows exactly what she thinks, always has, and I more than suspect always will, who furiously, eloquently said no to that question as to whether we should ever go back. Everybody, brace yourselves and listen to this.
We are going, and we are glad to be going. I represent the southwest of the United Kingdom.
Facciamo concludere.
And I found on my first day that this place has decided, at least this place hasn't, the powers that be have decided to actually increase the size of fishermen's meshes, thereby reducing their income by 40%. That's what you do here. That's why we're going.
Grazie,
News
concluda.
out long, wir gehen, we're off.
I am delighted to say that we have Anne Widdecombe here, former Conservative MP and Brexit Party MEP. And I wanted to hear from you, hearing your bold and robust bellicose goodbye to the European Union there. But the question is here that Gordon Brown, it seems, having been Prime Minister, is going to fight with all his political muscle to get us back. A, what's the point? And you're not supposed to ask two questions, but I will. Why is he doing this?
Well, Gordon Brown's never shown much judgment. This was the man as Prime Minister who sold off, as Chancellor rather, who sold off gold at bargain basement prices. This is the same Gordon Brown who wrecked the pension system with tax reforms. He's never shown that much judgment. So if you said to me, name me a politician who wants to rejoin, actually I'd have put him fairly near the top of the list. If he wants to waste his time that way, so be it.
So one of the things I'm going to do now, I'm afraid, and normally I wouldn't do this, but it's you, and I think like lots of people out there, we may not always like what you say, but we admire the fact that you're authentic and you mean what you say, which these days, I'm afraid to say, is a precious and rare commodity in politics. I voted for Remain, but I accepted that once the Brexit vote happened, it was a democratic will of the people. And most importantly, that vote spoke to people and communities, millions of people, and a whole plethora, a group of communities outside of the privileges of London, whose lives I knew nothing about. And once that vote had happened, it was time for us to move on. Now, isn't it anti-democratic to try and pursue re-entry into the EU? What does it say about the contempt politicians have for the will of the people?
Well, what I think it says is that there are some very, very sore losers on the other side of this argument, and who are simply not prepared to accept, A, that the referendum went that way, B, that a general election went that way, and C, that we then did finally leave. Now, presumably they are pursuing this through democratic means. They would have to have another referendum, which I think Britain wants like a hole in the head, and then they would then have to have a complete renegotiation, because we can't just cancel Brexit. We'd be applying to rejoin. We'd probably be made to join the euro, and the ramifications are immense. So I don't see this happening. Mm-hmm. But if there are people who think that way, free speech, let them say it.
So a question of free speech, Anne, one of the questions that I've always had is that in the aftermath of Brexit, there were two instincts amongst Remainers. And I was amongst that group of Remainers, but I never held this view that one, those who voted Brexit must be stupid, racist and uninformed, and that B, this was only going to be temporary. Do you think that those instincts were right? That's what people in political power thought once the vote came in?
Oh, I don't think anybody at the BBC or in Westminster or in any other of the sort of metropolitan elite bubbles that we've got, I don't think anybody thought the vote was really going to go that way. I mean, they were staggered when it did. Cameron was so certain that it was going to go in favour of Remain that he actually, pinned his colours to that mast, which most prime ministers in a referendum would have been wary of doing.
Now, you've made your case, and you've made it very powerfully, but this is what Gordon Brown's going to be spending his time doing. Why is it important that we never join the EU, Anne Widdecombe, again?
Well, it's important that we don't rejoin for the very simple reason. First, as I say, it wouldn't even be under the old terms. We'd almost certainly have to, in fact, we would certainly have to sign up to the euro. But secondly, once bitten, twice shy. We didn't come out of the EU because it was all going splendidly for us. We came out of the EU because we were tired of being told by an unelected commission what it was that we had to do. And we wanted to be in charge of our own laws and of our own trade deals and to have things decided in our own parliament. That's what we wanted. And so that's what we got. And I think we're doing very well with it.
Well, very well or not, Anne. Lots of people who are part of the Remain camps, there wasn't just one, really took the view that your side of the argument lied to the British people. In a nutshell, what's your answer to that?
Their side of the argument lied to the British people. You think of Project Fear and all that we were told was going to happen immediately after just a vote. Not just leaving, but after just a vote. None of it actually happened.
And I think nobody ever asks you this, really, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Go on.
When you stood up in the European Parliament after that election, and we heard what you had to say, and leaving aside some of the things that you said, what did it feel like?
Unreal, quite honestly. If you had said to me in late March 2019, well, Anne, in a few weeks' time, you're going to leave the Conservative Party after 55 years. You're going to join the Brexit Party. And, oh, by the way, you're then going to become elected as a Brexit Party MEP. I would have laughed. And it felt completely unreal.
Well, there it is. You've heard it from her. She never compromises her views. She is, I'm going to co-opt a phrase from, well, another lady in the past. She's certainly not one for turning, everybody. That was Anne Widdecombe.